If you have a, thank you. If you have a, one more person. If you have a refuge prayer or bodhisattva intention prayer that you like to use, please feel most free, or feel free to join me. And if you want a copy of what I mumble along with, please just shoot me an email and I'll make sure you can have one. Okay, that's enough words about stuff. Let's go visit Chenrezig. With a wish for all beings to be free of the constriction and contraction of held belief systems and thought patterns, free of the automatic reactivity of learned and held emotional patterns, and free of distorted perception. I will always go for refuge to a live, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of any lineage and time, or none, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. So the last line of that, oh, excuse me. Hang on a minute. Okay. The last line of that is personal to me. The wish to manifest in such a way, that part. And if you choose to do this particular one, I just noticed the, I won't use names, the stuffed animals in the back. They're so friendly and happy. One of you. You are very free to put your own wish for how you might manifest. Whether you believe in past lives and future lives and all of that is not really a concern to me. That's your path, how you want to go with that. But if we visualize or experience, we're much more apt to value experience than anything else. If we can experience a kind of waveform that we each have as the form that we are, like a wave. They're all a little bit different. No two waves are exactly the same. Perhaps as that waveform blends back into the dancing stillness, if you will. Never made of anything other than spacious stillness, non-duality, Dharmakaya, and the radiant aliveness of awareness, Sambhogakaya. As our form melts back there, sometimes it's easier for me to experience that waveform melting back into the whole from which it arose. So not so much a personal rebirth, Just a kind of a flow of direction. Why did I bring that up? I have no idea. Oh, I was going to say that one of our biggest distorted perceptions, perhaps, what Lama Lina calls the original oops, is the perception that there is an I in here separate from all of that we perceive as out there. Like a wave trying to separate itself from the causes and conditions that created it and separate itself from the ocean itself and the other waves in the ocean. I just kind of like that analogy. I'm a water person. So. As we start this practice, well, I guess we already have. Traditionally, we would call on or try to bring up the memory, perhaps rest into the experience of either feeling what we might label love for another being, or it may arise in certain circumstances, or if you have experienced had the experience of feeling absolutely loved and cared for. In this, it does not matter because the separation is an illusion anyway. So, my experience. That's a type of wave, in my experience, a type of warm wave that washes through us. And as it occurs, whether the stimulus might be your baby, a kitten, puppy, music, certain kinds of music can move us greatly and open that space. If you're an artist, perhaps that. If you're a dancer, you like to dance, and you dance freely, perhaps that wave arises right there. It is warm. And the minute our eye notices it, we tend to grab onto it and attach it to that stimulus. The stimulus is different for everybody. The sensation is probably quite similar for all of us. And if in that moment that arises, we can rest ourselves more in an open awareness without attaching the experience or sensation to anything at all. We may find something far beyond what we label love. That is unlimited, doesn't have boundaries or even duality. In that moment of experience, when it's open, again, I'm sharing my experience in doing this. There is a timeless quality, and I can only describe what I'm trying to describe. I can only notice that after I grab myself back. But in that moment of open awareness, openness, where the eye is not so strongly held, there is a timeless quality to that wave. There is a lack of separation of object, the object being acted on, and subject. And it simply is. So if it occurs, right before we do something to attach that feeling, if we can relax and open to that feeling, I believe that may be Sambhogakaya, always available, doesn't go away. It's only our grasping that keeps us from resting there and recognizing that indescribable, I don't, I try to describe, but it is indescribable. Radiant love, of interconnectedness. So as we reach for some sensation or memory, or perhaps we can rest right in this moment. We allow that sensation, memory, whatever arises for you, to nurture our heart, where we can visualize or simply sense a lotus of 1,000 petals. The lotus is made of light, often held somewhat closed as we, in what this being that thinks it's an individual, tries to protect our heart. We try to protect ourselves from being hurt. So we're often a bit closed, a bit wary, a bit cautious. We may not even notice that until we have a moment of that complete openness. And as we nurture this feeling of open-hearted love, unlimited, unlabeled warmth, it allows our heart, that lotus, to relax into its natural essence, which is fully open in its wholeness. It is indestructible. It is Vajra strong, just as you've all learned that Dharmakaya, spaciousness beyond time and space. Or you've all heard that your Buddha nature, which is what we're always pointing at, your Buddha nature is indestructible. Oh, you can cover it up, you can put clouds in front of it, you can do all kinds of actions that may not be of much benefit to anybody, but you cannot harm or scratch or destroy that essence, no matter how hard you might try. Since Sambhogakaya, radiant, alive awareness, and open, spacious awareness beyond time and space are never separate. This quality of embracing, embracer, and embraced, non-separated, is always present, indestructible. As we rest there in this moment that we may have called up of open-heartedness, love, trying not to attach or grab onto it in any way. And as the lotus opens, we notice inside 6 petals of different colors. And on each of those petals is one of the syllables of the mantra. The mantra is simply the sound of what we're resting in, the sound of open-heartedness, the sound of the wave, if you will, the sound of the quality of unlimited, unbounded open-heartedness. And we'll do this together as recommended. The mantra we'll say 3 times. Repeat after me if you would. Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. It is suggested to say that quietly, moving air, always. Lama Lina stresses that. So as quietly as you'd like, that you continue to say that mantra while we do this. That's up to you. No rules. If you have a mala and you want to move a bead for each time you say it, that's also suggested. As we say, or as you practice this yourself, for me, my experience is it's important to notice the sound. Notice the feel of the sound originating deep down in your belly. Om. Hard to separate it into pieces. But there is a vibration with that sound that you can feel, sense within your body as the sound comes all the way to your crown chakra and is expressed from your mouth. And you hear the sound, both inside and outside. It is hard to tell where the sound starts and where it ends. It is hard to tell where the vibration originates and where that vibration of sound may end. That is a practice in itself that you can rest into. As we say the mantra, the inner 6 petals start to turn. And as they represent all form, as they blend together in the turning, as happens organically with light, if you blend all colors of light together, they become white. Not the glaring, sharp white of a spotlight, but you can feel, sense, see the aliveness of this light, never static. Again, a wave is not a bad analogy. Wave of light that's warm, alive, vibrant. And as it fills these 5 petals, they elongate into 6 petals. They elongate into 6 rays of that alive, vibrant light that radiates out into the lotus and fills all the rest of the 1,000 petals, so that they too elongate into rays of this vibrant, alive light, which naturally will radiate out into the universe, touching 1,000 beings. There is no limitation in where these rays can reach. No limitation in time, past, present, future, imaginary time, and space. as far as your imagination can reach, the rays of light can reach. As far as your mind reaches, the rays of light reach. To the edge of the universe, beyond the edge of the universe to the multiverse, no limitation. No limitation in size. The rays can reach into the smallest bit of cell in your body. Can touch whales and trees and dinosaurs. You let those rays, without trying to grab them, radiate out into all time and space and form, touching 1,000 beings, allowing their heart, their lotus to relax and open, and their true nature fills. The same rays of light occur, and the 1,000 rays from each of those beings now radiate out into the universe, some of them coming back and touching your heart, your lotus again, filling it again and again and again. The rays from all beings coming back are not rays of personality or shape of their form. The rays are the rays of what's called clear light, radiant awareness, rays of this warm, vibrant light, without all the muck we tend to put on it with our personalities. So we have 1,000 rays of light now reaching, radiating out into the universe, touching 1,000 beings, allowing the same relaxation, the same openness to occur, the same lack of self-tension, self-focus, now completely relaxed and interconnected with all beings. On those days when this is difficult, if you choose to do this practice, you may visualize the first 1,000 rays shining out and touching all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, 1,000 Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and their light rays, at least one out of each of those 1,000, coming back and touching you. Since all beings in their essence, beyond our confusion and ignorance, are Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That's what's occurring anyway. As we rest there, we may sense, I like the sound of the mantra, sound of open-heartedness, to ride on those waves of light, not separate from them. So as the sound, the vibration, the light, radiant light, all interconnecting, we may arise to visualize like a web, these many rays intersecting and overlapping. And we can perhaps think of where we cross, where the rays touch each other, as the little nodes that start to think we're individual, independent individual beings. And clearly in this web, there's enormous, unlimited interconnection. It may be that occurs for us with the sound, almost like hearing the vibration or feeling the vibration of sound carried in these webs intersecting. It may affect us as touch, not in an individual kind of something touching. That's why the best I can come up with is embraced, embracer, and embracing with no separation. We can rest there in that interconnectedness as refuge. The actual refuge of one aspect of the three kayas, Nirmanakaya, the interconnectedness of all form arising. If you choose to practice this, the time of how you do it is completely freely in your hands, because we're all together today. I'll keep moving and allowing the thousand rays now to touch 1,000 beings, and continuing to open into these rays of vibrant, radiant light until there are an infinite number of rays of light touching an infinite number of beings, and there is no thing but vibrant light. Not what we perceive as I looking at all this light. In no way separate. There can be resting there. There's awareness, clearly. Called Sambhoga aspect of the essence of heart mind, the essence of Buddhas. You, all arising form. From its source, where all form arises and dissolves, with resting there as radiant light. There is no looker. That constant chatter of the describer, which is so habitual in us humans, may disappear. Which means the awareness that arises is there. Cannot be described until we grab ourselves back and try to put words to the experience. May you all have this experience of falling into radiant, alive light. You've never been separate, where perhaps omniscience arises. It's unlimited awareness, bright, shiny, perhaps sparkly. Where termas arise from, where the clear yet empty form of the deity may emerge from. The very heart of awareness, which is able to look through our eyes without confusion that we're separate from everything else. And can also look with awareness another part of us, that vast open spaciousness, permeated by this radiant alive light. And poof, up we rise, every manifestation, an interdependent dance of the three kayas. No separation ever, one from the other. Refuge. Right here, there is no describer to notice the spaciousness beyond duality, called Dharmakaya, beyond right, wrong, up, down, good, bad, where this moment is every moment that ever was, ever is, or ever will be. Refuge that is always present, unborn, undying. Refuge that you have never been separate from for an instant. We will grab ourselves back again and again and again. What we perceive as ourselves, ourself, me, it's not separate from that. How could it be? We will dissolve our form will dissolve. We can try as hard as we can with as many methods as we can imagine. Oh, that's right. We call them our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. We can try as hard as possible with that strong instinct of survival, not to dissolve, not to have our form dissolve. We're still going to dissolve. No way to beat it. However, we were nothing but a waveform along the way in the first place. Never static, never the same moment to moment. Always moving, always changing. Whether we fight it or not is kind of immaterial. Boy, does it cause us suffering. I love the Thich Nhat Hanh quote. I keep saying it. Enlightenment for a wave is when it realizes it's water. If we practice resting in the whole of refuge, part of us is still going to probably fear our dissolving. Perhaps it will relax a little bit. Perhaps that part of us that thinks we're missing something, that thinks there's something beyond what we've learned and been taught, something that comes up for many of us, kind of like the word home. Just going home. Knowing this in words is not wonderfully helpful. Experiencing it again and again. This leads to a type of freedom that we couldn't have imagined, most of us. Traditionally, but not always. We invite the rays of light, all the rays of light, back into our heart chakra, back into the center of the lotus, where sits another seed syllable, Hri, H-R-I, small, right in the very center of the lotus. Another symbol of what's pointed at. If you choose to do this practice, and the symbol with the name Chenrezig doesn't help this arise, this open-heartedness, your nature. Feel around for a symbol that reminds you that is that open-hearted, open-minded, unlimited, boundless connection. as we bring, and name it free if you'd like, as we invite all those rays of light back into that free in the center of the lotus, compacting so tightly back into there, all of the light. And in an instant, that too dissolves. And we rest in as what's called ground of mind, infinite spacious awareness. It's beyond time and space, so there is no limitation, but neither can we label it spacious, just words. It's not an it, just words. Here, many of us can rest. Peaceful. Don't have to think, don't have to figure anything out. Some of us find it terrifying if we experience it without the radiant aliveness. We are this, not this thing. I'd like to add today, I think I have a couple of times. Mama Lena talks about us holding on to the edge of the cliff and a teacher stomping on our hands at the right time, so we have to fall. My experience is we fall again and again and again and grasp our way back up. Every fall changes something. She always described this as the bad news is, yes, you're falling. The good news is there's no bottom. That's probably the least comforting image I could possibly have. Maybe it's a great image for you. Let's try this one. In experience, when you fall, you're expanding in all directions. All directions are filled with radiant, alive light. You are that radiant, alive light. When we've experienced, even for a second, and I think everybody has actually, we just don't know how to rest there. We just don't know how to not grab or push away. Many of us. When we've had that experience of refuge, there may be a tremendous shift, not done intentionally, which simply blows our heart completely open. That this incredible refuge, full of vibrant, alive light, love, whatever term won't be adequate, it expands into who knows, is so inaccessible to most beings. And yet it's what all manifestation is. Our heart may simply open, not as, oh, I've got it, and those poor things don't. Not like that. Not in a way that goes, oh, I need to force this on everybody. They need to have this. No, it'll just cause most of us beings to close up even more. An openness that is responsive and spontaneous. True bodhisattva. This thing when Chenrezig had lifted every being out of the hell realm. That was his goal. And a lot of work. And he looked up and he saw, or she, that Chenrezig, the symbol, is very seldom male or female. Gender not specific. But this being looked up and saw beings falling back into the hell realms, like snow in a blizzard falling in. Chenrezig despaired so much that being threw himself, oh well, adjectives are hopeless for me, threw himself on the rocks and broke into 1,000 pieces. And I believe Amitabha was walking along, saw him do this, put him back together with 1,000 arms so that his responsiveness would be available. He would have 1,000 arms to be able to reach out to beings when needed. But on those 1,000 arms on the hand, the palm, was an eye of wisdom to spontaneously see what was needed and therefore respond. I love that story, and to me, it means when we're more invested in somebody ending or trying to end somebody's suffering in a moment, that's about us. When that separation disappears with wisdom and bodhisattva, not separate. It's only responsiveness in that moment. So no running around like a Boy Scout dragging an old lady across the street when she had no desire to go in that direction at all. We all get confused. We all forget who we are. So whatever compassion arises is inclusive of every being, including ourselves. That me, I think I am. Anyway, too many words. I'll leave you here, wherever you may be, wherever we may remain together, with a wish that that radiant, sparkly, alive light, which we may have experienced at least for a moment, filling, permeating every aspect of form and space. May we not grab onto it, try to hold it as our own, my precious. Simply allow it to be as it naturally is, radiating always with the potential for all form to recognize. May all beings be free. May we not forget as we walk the path. The open, boundless nature, which is at the heart of all of us, is the heart of all of us. Thank you all for being here today. A pleasure to share with you and be shared by you, something like that. Thank you all.